All right, g'day everyone. Hopefully will be able to hear me and see me right now. Just gonna change screens. Okay. So guys, I am going to go through my results from the last couple of months, I guess. It's been a long time since I've done a video or done any kind of live stream, but already got some good questions coming through, so I might as well just answer those to start off with before I get into my results, which you can probably see from the last 2 months. As you can see, I have made quite a dramatic loss, and I'm happy to show you guys how that all happened, why I lost nearly $1,000 or roughly about $1,000. I'll get through that, but for now, I might as well answer some questions. So, question here from Chris Peters: if you have ever been limited from all of the soft bookies, which approach would you have to find value bets? And the only option you have is to place bets on the Asian market. Yeah, so I guess you've kind of answered the question there. So once I'm in myself and you can't hear anything, Chris Peters can't hear anything. Can you hear anything, Joe? I know on the YouTube. I'm just going to keep going because I think people can hear me. So basically, yeah, sounds fine. Thanks, guys. So basically, the approach that I'm going to go with once I am limited with all the soft bookies is I will most likely head over to Trademate Pro and trade on the Asian bookies and also the betting exchanges. So betting exchanges like Betfair, Matchbook, places like that. And basically, yeah, once you are limited from all the soft bookies, they are the only places you can really bet because they don't limit winning players. So I hope that answers your question, Pete. I'm just seeing your other question now. Since most of the value bets found today is comparing Pinnacle odds, would you say that it's a possibility to find good value, and where? I think it's a matter of time before I will have this. Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of value to be had, especially on especially Trademate Core with the soft bookies. They're a lot slower at changing their odds, so there's a lot more opportunities to get value bets in there. So anyone out there looking to, take some value bets or take more value, I guess, or get a bigger edge, I would be trading with the soft bookies to start off with. And then once you are limited with all them, I would head over to the Asian bookies. With Trademate Pro, the edge is slightly smaller because, or the expected ROI or average ROI, return on investment, is smaller, just naturally because the sharp bookies are a lot quicker at changing their odds, and their odds are a lot sharper too. So it's harder to get value with them, but we still are very profitable with the Asian bookies with Trademate Pro. And the biggest thing there is the most important thing there is to have a really large bankroll. So then you can because the ROI is smaller. You can bet for more money, I guess, because you don't get limited. So ROI is smaller, but you can bet for more money there. Which the more turnover you get, that ROI doesn't really matter how big it is, because the more turnover you get, more money you spend or more money you wager, you're going to get. Doesn't matter how big the ROI is, to be honest. All right, any other questions coming through? David Atkinson, do you ever feel like giving up after taking such a big loss in a month? To be honest, mate, not at all. I'm very this is part of the journey, really, isn't it, with value betting? Is it's all about large numbers. So the more bets I place, the more chance I am of being profitable. So I've traded now. I can go through my overall stats later, but basically my overall trades is something like 4,200 bets now. So my sample size is quite big, but also the most important thing is I just keep building on that. And the more bets I take, the better chance I am of being profitable. Great article over on the Trademate blog. I go and look at it. It's called Trademate User Data proves that more trades equals more profits. And if you just have a read through that, it shows that actually all of our customers that have bet have traded more than 10,000 times, so that have placed more than 10,000 bets, 100% of them are profitable. So it just shows that if you get the volume in, you will be profitable. We obviously can't guarantee that, but your chances are bloody good if you get over 10,000 trades in. And I mean something like you're an 80% chance of being profitable if you bet 5,000 trades with Trademate Sports. So big numbers. I know it sounds hard because normally people tell you to stop betting when you are losing, or at least when you're value betting. But if you don't have a profitable strategy, then you probably should stop betting. But if you are value betting, it's kind of an inverse relationship where the more value bets that you place, the better your chances are of being profitable. All right, so I might as well go through some of my results. I'll just take a sip of water before I get started. But basically, the two biggest reasons why I've struggled over the last 2 months, or that I have not been profitable, is variance. So kind of what I just reiterated before with David Atkinson's question, is that variance is it's a very important thing when it comes to value betting. So I can't look at my results on the last 2 months, especially when you see my number of trades here is 120 trades. It's really not enough. So when you're looking at your results from 120 trades, anything can really happen. And as you can see here, I think my hit rate's 40%. So I'm winning 4 out of every 10 bets. And yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is that over a small sample size, a lot can happen. But over 4,000 bets, which I've placed now, over 4,000 bets, it takes out that random variance kind of thing. So let's just say easiest way of going through this is like a heads and tails example. So if I do a flip a coin 10 times, there's actually a chance that I could get 9 heads and 1 tails. But if I do 100 flips, maybe it might be something like, if you're doing really badly, it might be something like 70 to 30 heads, 70 heads, 30 tails. But then, once you start placing doing thousands of flips and doing tens of thousands of flips, that's when your variance will even out and you will get more expected results, or the variance will lessen. So that's the biggest reason why my profits, I've seen a sudden dip in my profits. Just from variance, basically. I'll take you through where I should be in my journey after I move away from this page from my last 120 bets. So I want to see whether where I am in the right place, whether my closing EV, which is this green line here, is actually in line with this blue line when it comes to my overall stats. I'll go through that in about 5 minutes. But the other thing I wanted to note with why my results have probably not been as great is I've actually not accumulated as much value as I normally would over 120 bets. So overall, I've accumulated nearly $100 in closing EV, which is okay. It means I'm still positive. It means I am making value bets, but I've just had a few bets that really didn't close well for me in terms of the closing line. So here's the biggest one here. So I was at a closing EV of $50 after 50 bets, and then I took a major dip. So I lost about $30 in closing EV, and I'll take you to that trade now. And there is a reason for this, and it's one of the reasons why betting on lower leagues is not the greatest thing to do. But during COVID, there wasn't much of an option. So I did learn some valuable lessons. So here's the biggest one, my biggest ever negative closing edge here. So as you can see, it was I think this would be a Thai, I guess Taiwan beer. I guess it was some sort of basketball league in Asia. So basically what's happened here is I've bet on this match. At 10:24, I took this bet, and 1.5 hours later, the game started. I got on with an 8.44% edge at odds of 2.75, and then by the time of kickoff, my edge had gone into the negative. So it had moved about 70%, as you can see there. The odds actually went from 275. I can go and show you this actually on Pinnacle. So on Pinnacle, the closing odds for Pinnacle were quite ridiculous. They went up to 542. So I got on at 275, and the odds dropped went up to 542, which is a huge increase in odds. And the reason why that happens is because there's less liquidity in the markets. So when you're betting on lower leagues, when you're betting on something like the Chinese, or I don't know if this is Chinese or Thai, whatever, basketball league, or you're betting on the, what's another good example? Oh, sorry, my page is unresponsive. It doesn't really matter. Or when you're betting on let's just say sometimes esports has got low liquidity. Russian ice hockey was a good example. Belarus football, because these markets have got really not that much money in them. It allows the odds to shift really quickly. So, as you can see here, within an hour and a half, the odds shifted from 275 to 542, which is completely ludicrous. That will very, very rarely happen. It's the worst closing edge I've ever had, and yeah, it obviously resulted in quite a big, bad negative EV bet, I guess is the best way of putting it. So, I would not recommend in the future. I know it's hard during COVID, but the major problem here is betting on the smaller leagues. I don't think I need to cover too much more on that. I think, let me just see. Yeah, and also the other thing with betting on the lower leagues is there's actually less information in those odds. So because there's less money in the market, so maybe in a Premier League game there's millions and millions of dollars, but a basketball game on a lower league like this, or a Russian ice hockey game, Belarus, or Belarusian football game, there's probably only tens of thousands of dollars. So there's actually less information in those odds, if you understand what I mean. So, because less people have bet on it, because less liquidity in the market, those odds actually aren't as accurate as a Premier League game where millions of people have bet on it. So I hope that makes sense. And it's one of the dangers of betting on lower leagues. So now, what I've done now is I've basically just said, stuff this. I'm gonna bet just on recommended leagues inside Trademate from now on. Unfortunately, the page is unresponsive at the moment, so hopefully I can get that going again. Just have some water here. Well, we got some other questions come through from SYU triple Y. How are you doing? I'm Asian, but I'm good at matches held in Asia. I want to play with you at the dawn of Corona. Well, mate, we'd be more than happy to have you. So look forward to having you on board. SYU triple Y. Keep sending your questions, folks. I'm happy to answer just while this page is loading. But it seems like it's going to work. I might potentially actually place some match bets while I'm here, because I still have a bonus to clear with 18 bet. But the problem is the my computer's ability to take lots of windows, as you can see right now, is bloody poor. So here's my trade feed now, and as you can see, all the I made a preset for for the times when COVID has been happening for all leagues to bet on, but now I've just deleted it. Now that the Bundesliga is back on, I'm just going to stick with the Bundesliga now, and any other recommended leagues that are on, which should be coming up. The NRL in Australia is starting soon, so I'll definitely be betting on that when that comes back. That starts next weekend. UFC's on also, but obviously we don't support UFC, so yeah, it's a bit trickier. So here are my overall stats now, guys. As you can see, overall I have nearly profited $2,000, so I made a loss of about $1,000 in the last couple of months. My closing EV is at 2,000. No, sorry. My closing EV is at $1,560, which is actually, although it says that my profits are better than my closing EV, that's actually incorrect, because as you can see, these major spikes in my graph here. Sorry. As you can see, these major spikes in my graph here, these are when I've implemented my match betting results into the software, which obviously when you're doing match betting, you're not accumulating any value. So there's about maybe around $1,000 worth of match betting profits here. So I'm actually sitting quite a bit below my closing EV. So maybe if we're doing more of a truer estimate, my closing EV is at $1,500. My actual profits from value betting is probably around 1,000. So I'm actually sitting quite below my closing EV. So I'm actually not performing that well. So that's, I mean, it's weird because I actually get excited about that, to be honest, because it actually means that at any moment now I'm on for an upswing in my results, because at the end of the day, my results should fall in line with this green line here. And as you'll see before, my profits were up at $3,000 at one point, and at that point I would have been overachieving. So variance, it's a bit crazy. So it can, lots of things can happen. You can be overachieving, you can be underachieving, but eventually, once you get all those number of bets in, your expected profits should meet your actual profits. Got some more questions, I think, here. So A minus, do you get a discount as a student for the Trademate core subscription? Yes, mate. It looks like Trademate Sports has already answered that for me. Thank you, Joachim, the main man, making sure this stream goes along nicely. Shout out to Joachim. He's doing a wonderful job with Trademate Sports at the moment, our trusty marketing intern. Righto, I don't think there was much more to cover on the stream today. Maybe I'll place a match bet for you. While you're here, guys, you might as well, you're probably all subscribed to the channel already, but while you're here, you might as well subscribe to the YouTube channel. Got some good videos coming out at the moment, but I'll try and get this bet on. I'll see if this is still here. This is with Odds Heroes. This is our match betting software. I've just got a bonus with 18bet at the moment, so I've nearly chewed through that, but I've just got to finish that bonus up. Hopefully it's going to load. This might take a bit of time, but if you guys are keen to see how match betting works, then stay tuned, because I'll show you how Odds Hero and match betting works. What I might do is, here we go. A question from Adam: when SBO bet will get normal odds on brokers? When? I don't really understand your question too much, mate. You might want to rephrase that for me, if you can, Adam. All right, I'm just going to log in over here because I don't want all you freaks out there to see my password. So one moment, guys. I'm just logging into my 18bet account. It's very slow. I'm just going to jump off the stream, Joachim, because my computer is very slow right now. Hopefully that'll quicken things up a bit. Okay, guys, sorry, I'm just logging into my 18bet account, but like I said, I didn't want you guys to see my password, as that would be probably quite a rookie mistake. All right, I think I'm in now. Very slow. Okay, let's have a look and see what Odds Hero has got for in terms of match bets. And I promise the software is not normally this slow. This is just because of the live stream. So my strategy with match betting is to basically try and win all the money over at Sport Market, or better known as my better betting brokerage. Um, so what I try and do is basically take massive odds at the bonus bet, which is in this case is 18bet, so that most likely I'm going to win over here. And all I'm doing is shifting the money that I've deposited into my 18bet account and the bonus that I got from 18bet. I'm basically shifting that money, that 2,000 crowns, or in this case it's 2,000 crowns, 1,000 deposited, 1,000 bonus money. I'm basically shifting that money over to my Sport Market account, which I can easily withdraw. The other good thing about that is not only do I get to withdraw my money straight away, but I also look like a really, really bad bettor with 18bet. So what might happen is, since they think I'm a really bad bettor, they will then offer me um, all these promotions to come back in and bet with them. So these promotions might be something like, here's a free bet of 200 crowners or 20 euros or something like that. Not that great, but it's another plus to winning all your money over. Winning all your money over at the Sharp Bookmaker. All right, so here's a bet I'll have a look at. But like I said, it's going to be very very slow for you. So maybe, is there any questions, Joachim, that I can answer in the meantime? Any questions?
Yeah, I'm answering them, so no worries.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
If there's any good ones, any good juicy ones for me, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just searching for this team now. Maybe I can close
you can
down.
answer Dr. Brett Johnson, because that's probably something many people wonder.
What's his question? I haven't got it up anymore.
Can you use sharp bookies on Trademate Core?
No, mate, you can't. You have to use Trademate Pro. And with Trademate Pro, you can also use the betting exchanges. So we definitely support Betfair. I would assume we support Matchbook also. So yeah, there's a couple that you can use with Trademate Pro. As you can see, my computer's having a bit of a heart attack. Sorry, guys. All right, so what are we looking for here? We're looking for +1 Asian handicap. On the what team? Sorry, the home team.
Okay, so you is wondering if you're any good at horse racing, Alex.
Oh, mate, I tell you what. Back in my day, no, mate, I'm not very good. I used to do a bit of horse race betting back in the day, actually, with when I was back in Australia. But mate, I wouldn't say it was profitable. I would say I probably broke even after a couple of years, maybe a slight loss, maybe a slight profit. I'm not too sure, mate. But I'm hoping, one day we can get horse racing into Trademate. That is my dream, because horse racing is it's just a good laugh, really. If we can get some value there. The problem would be is that it's normally quite high odds in horse racing, so the variance would be pretty crazy. Um, so, mate, Jesus Christ.
We've got another one.
We've got it.
David Atkinson is wondering how much time been spending per week to getting 4K trades.
It's a hard question, because Um, it depends because obviously lately I've been spending basically no time. So um, I wouldn't in during the times where it's just been normal, like all the football leagues are on. I would be spending. Oh man, it's really hard. It's mostly weekend work, so maybe I'll do half an hour every night during the week, with Champions League on, Europa League, and then on a Saturday and a Sunday, probably only a total of something like 2 or 3 hours. But the thing is, it's sporadically. So, I might get on at 8 o'clock in the morning, do half an hour, turn it off, come back at 10 o'clock, do half an hour, come back at 12, do half an hour. Um, so, if you want it, if you like the lifestyle of just staying at home, it's helpful because then you can just put on any bet that you get on. But or put on any bet that comes up in your trade feed. But if you like to be out and about, it's a little bit harder. But I still think if you're only out for a couple of hours, um, on either side of when you're out, you can still place plenty of bets. So I would say overall on a Saturday, maybe spend about 2 to 3 hours trading. But it's really that's spread out from like 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. So very sporadic, and just logging on here and there, and yeah.
Okay, we got two new questions.
All right, if you can just wait 1 second, mate. I'm just gonna actually see if I can bet.
Yeah.
Hopefully my computer's a bit better now. So I'm just trying to find +1 Asian handicap at home. So 372. I think that matches up. Yep, nice. And then we'll go over to Sport Market, and I want to do the exact same bet over here, except the opposite. All right, here we go. The problem with this is I reckon that the liquidity will not be in the market. That would be my guess, to be able to put on a massive bet of 128 euros. That's my early. That would be my. Is it the Talon? Yeah. So I'm looking for -1 away. So that would be this one here. So -1 to the away team. And as I said, liquidity in the market is 15 euros. So the minimum or the max bet I can put on is 15 euros. So it's because it's a really small league, it's not going to let me bet more than that. So I'll see. I put all these match bets on the weekend because the Bundesliga was on, but yeah, I need to make a bet of 500 kroners because I'm sick of this bonus. I just want to get rid of it. I don't even care if I make a slight loss. um, I'll see if I can find any other ones that are from bigger leagues, but I don't think so. I'll probably just have to wait till the weekend, or I don't know when you guys let me know when the next Bundesliga game is on. Yeah, all right, stuff that. It's not going to happen. I can maybe I'll go over to Trademate and show you guys some of the trades we're getting through for the smaller leagues, actually, like esports and stuff like that. Joachim, questions?
Yeah, the first one is Trademate Pro free for 7 days as the core version is?
Yeah, we don't give away free trials of the pro version, unfortunately, unless you have a really good reason. So that's probably the simplest answer for that.
And the second one, how many bookies should we start when using Trademate Core?
Great question. So I would be using. I started with 5, so I would at the smallest. Sorry, at the smallest start with 4. So 4 or 5, and the reason for that is because imagine if you're just betting with one bookmaker or two bookmakers, that means all the betting activity is going to happen there. So you're going to be placing like you could place like something like 50 bets with one bookmaker on a weekend, and that's going to look really suspicious. It's going to look like you're a good trader or like you've got some sort of strategy. So it's good to spread out your bets across multiple bookmakers. And then the other thing is the more bookmakers you have should intuitively equal more value bets, more value betting opportunities at least. So I'm just making a preset here that I would be using for the smaller leagues at the moment, or how to bet on the stuff like esports and stuff like that. So what I've been doing, I've been trading really close to kickoff. So um, maybe trading, I would say 3 to 4 hours. Let's just say 4 hours in this case, and show all leagues. Let's have a preset come up and just see what bets come up for for today. Any other questions, mate?
Yeah, you actually talked about that, but 24 Sumo is asking why did you lose 1K?
Yeah. So two reasons, mate. Most important reason is variance. So it's a it was a I placed 120 bets over 2 months. So that's the main reason. So it's not a big sample size. If it was 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 bets, I think we'd be seeing different results. And the other reason was I didn't actually accumulate as much value as I normally do because lower leagues equals less liquidity, and less liquidity means less information in the odds, and less information in the odds and less liquidity equals, which means that odds can swing really quickly. So it can end up in negative EV bets. Um, as you can see my trade feed now with my COVID preset, I have got a few edges up here on the, what's this? Friendly club match. Got no idea what that is. So these are all in an hour. These are just some examples of what's happening. As you saw before, there were some esports trades actually. So if you want to find esports trades, they are under all leagues, not recommended at the moment. Any other questions?
Yeah, we got three new ones. Okay, so first of all, Xiu Yu is asking, isn't the dawn of Corona very difficult to predict? Basically, like, is it more difficult to predict the matches during Corona or?
Yeah, I mean, it's lower leagues, so I don't know about you guys, but I've never watched Belarusian football in my life. So naturally, it is obviously harder to predict what's going to happen. Um, but yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not quite sure what your question is, but the I mean, I don't really know how to answer that question. I've just realised my preset goes up to 100 in odds, which I'm very sorry about. I'm not recommending that at all. Let's just say let's stick to 1.5 to 3, and that just keeps your variance a bit smaller.
Yeah, the second one is, do you think it's a good idea to work only with live betting? That's Christian Benzel that asks.
Yeah, so I haven't done too much live betting. I would, if anything, I'd probably steer away from it just because normally the margin that bookmakers take on the odds is a lot less, a lot more, sorry, than uh, pre-trading before a game. So there's no doubt that you can make good bets during live trading. It's just not something that the Trademate Sports software has, and it's not something that I've really done too much of. But normally there are they're taking bigger margins on live bets or cash out options and stuff like that. So because they don't have the time or the resources to go through and check all their odds or check that they've got their odds right and stuff like that, they're normally going to take an even bigger margin. But yeah,
Okay, Marinak is asking, let's say we set up 25 to 30 self bookies. That should, in theory, give us more time to not get restricted.
25 to 30 bookies.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, definitely. That's a lot of bookmakers though. So I guess the problem that would arise there is making sure you have enough money at each bookmaker. So you might get one or two bookmakers that provide the majority of your trades, and you might find yourself going down to zero in your balance quite quickly just because your money's spread out, and and just because they're the two most volume heavy bookies, you might run out of money quickly then, which you don't really want to do. You don't want to have to stop trading just because you've got a lot of bets waiting to settle. So you could do that, but then I would recommend having the majority of your bankroll in a couple of bookies that offer the most volume.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got another question on why you lost money, but Sue is asking, did you lose because you were playing on game during Corona that you normally don't play on?
Yes, but it's nothing to do with the it's nothing to do with my knowledge of the Belarusian football or esports. It's got nothing to do with that. All it's got to do with is the fact that they're smaller leagues. So in smaller leagues, there's less liquidity. So when I take a position before a game, because there's less liquidity, the market can shift a lot quicker. So I don't care about, like, if let's just say Arsenal and Liverpool are playing this weekend. I'm not going to bet on Liverpool and I'm not going to bet on Arsenal just because I think they're going to win. I'm only going to bet on them if it's a value bet. So it's irrelevant whether I have information on Belarusian football or not. The main point is that there's less liquidity in those smaller leagues, and less liquidity means that the bet I take 5 minutes before kickoff or an hour before kickoff can shift very quickly and shift out of my favor to make a negative expected value bet. So partly true, but not for the reasons why I think you're asking. If that makes sense.
Yeah, 24 Sumo has posted two questions now, and first is if we're using Pinnacle because he says that's probably why we lost money because the Pinnacle odds are completely wrong.
Um. Well. Oh, I think I've muted. Sorry, guys. I think I accidentally muted you there. I'm just gonna go to full screen now because I'm not going to place any bets because I don't really want to trade on the smaller leagues anymore. But sorry, what was the question, mate?
Yeah, so the question were if we're using Pinnacle to as his value in the Belarus league, and he's saying that's probably why we lost money because the odds at Pinnacle is completely wrong.
Well, I mean, from what I believe, you can't actually see if you go onto the Pinnacle website. You can't actually see what the closing line was. Pinnacle don't just offer the markets on their website and say this was the closing line for a Premier League game. So um, what you normally use is something like an odds portal or something like that, who can be inaccurate. But we've had no issues with our game sensor in terms of Pinnacle displaying the odds wrong from our third party that provide the odds. From what I believe, I mean maybe we've had an incorrect result here and there, but um, Pinnacle are not displaying their odds, at least in our software. They're not saying the closing odds that we put in our software from our third party providers from Pinnacle, they're not wrong, or at least for the most part, they're not wrong. So I'm not quite sure what that question's about. If the, I mean, if on a regular basis Pinnacle was providing us, or at least the third party that we use was providing us with the wrong Pinnacle odds, then we would have a major problem. So we would have sorted that. That's not something that's been happening.
Yeah, and we got Marnak saying the answers are really clear and helpful, so thanks.
Oh, mate, thanks for the love. What's his name? Marnus.
Marinak.
Marinak. Is that Marius's doppelganger or something? He's just come in to give me some compliments.
Yeah, and he says, I was wondering if you plan on making some type of a series of how to break down a certain sport or a league on our own with Excel, for example.
Um, I'm not quite sure what he means by that. So, like, make a spreadsheet. I mean, if you want any kind of breakdown on leagues, or if you want any kind of breakdown on leagues or results from leagues, results from particular sports, what I would do is have a look at the Trademate. Inside the Trademate software, we have a big data tool, and in there you can look at anything. So actually, if I just share my screen with you guys now, if I go into like the big data tool here, uh, and then I go into here, what I can basically do is look at all of the Trademate user data over time. So let's just say that I wanted to, let's look at the data from all bookmakers, but just on basketball odds type. I just want to look at 1x2 between 1 in odds and 2 in odds. And you can just filter this through and have a look at what the data looks like for all of that. So um, there are videos actually of Marius going through the big data tool in our channel. So maybe you want to go check that out, mate, and go. Go into our YouTube channel and type in big data tool or something. Big data tool stream, I think it was, with Marius. So he's got a, but I mean that was a couple of years ago. So I think it was a couple of years ago, or at least a year ago. So, but in terms of coming up with spreadsheets and stuff like that, I mean it's all in the big data tool. So there's no point in us doing that.
Yeah.
No other questions?
No, I think
They got sick of me. This has been better than I thought, mate.
Yeah.
I thought I was just gonna be on for 15 minutes showing why I did so badly, but it seems like there's been lots of questions, which has been great. So if you got any last questions before I head out, guys, please send them over now.
Yeah. So Marinko was his name.
Marinko. Sorry, mate.
So he said, I have noticed that Jonas, for example, is doing something similar, and I can see he's doing a lot of data analysis. So I am interested in making additional analysis next to Trademate. So
Yeah.
if you got any suggestions there.
Well, I mean, Jonas is doing value betting, so I'm not. I mean, he's got his own thing that he does, or his own system where he finds value bets and where he makes his money. I don't know what analytics he's looking at, to be honest. I guess he's just looking at the odds mostly. I don't know what his actual analytics he looks at to make a value bet is though. So I can't help you out too much there. But at the end of the day, if you use Trademate, you don't really have to do anything except for setting up your presets correctly in the way you want them to be. So I mean, I can take you through my presets, but basically, if you set up your presets right and set up a couple of bookmaker accounts, that's all you need to do, and Trademate Sports does the rest for you. So here's one of my filters or presets, sorry, here. And then the other main one that I'll be trading on is this one here. So that's got all my bookmakers, the sports, 1.2 in odds to 4, minimum edge of 1.5, up to 8 hours before kickoff. Yeah, I mean, it does it all for you. I literally do not need to go and see the stats on like Arsenal's previous games on what their yellow card probabilities are. I mean, we don't even do card markets or go to their previous results. If there's value in those odds, it'll come up on your trade feed. So that's the main thing.
Okay, we'll do the last two questions. And we got another comment saying thanks for the broadcast, interesting listening. So that was from Jeffrey.
Thank you, mate. If you want to hear more of my voice, make sure you check out the Trademate Sports podcast. That's we got some exceptional guests coming on soon, and we've had some really great guests on too. So go and check that out.
Yeah, and so 24 Sumo is asking, so Trademate doesn't work on finding value bets.
I mean, that's the whole point of Trademate Sports. That's all we do. We find value bets.
Yeah, and CEO YYY are asking, are you usually in charge of many countries and disciplines by yourself? Is there an by country or discipline?
I'm really confused by that question, but we don't really analyze countries in terms of our statistics. It's all about looking at bookmakers, odds markets, and if there's an edge in any league or any game or anything like that, we don't really. There's no way to look and see. Oh well, I mean, we could if we wanted to see how our UK customers are going, to see how our Australian customers are going. Whatever. I mean, the best way to probably would be is going into the bookmakers in the big data tool. So you could go into the big data tool and look at how we're performing from each bookmaker. So something like, I mean, what's a I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe like let's just say you're from Italy. We support some Italian, like BetClick in Italy. So if you were Italian and you wanted to see how Italian customers are going, then maybe go and insert a few bookmakers in here that you can only use in Italy. That would be like a little look at these ones or something like that. But in terms of like filtering and looking at our data from certain countries, um, that's a bit hard to do. But most of our customers are from the UK, so that answers any questions.
Yeah, we can just read up the last comment, which is from 24 Sumo again, and he says, "Always look forward to your videos. Thanks."
Thanks 24/7, mate. At least I got one fan out there. Follow me on Twitter, mate. Just lots of good stuff going through my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Any last minute questions? I'll give you 30 seconds, but other than that, I'm going to head off. Guys, make sure you please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You probably are already. Give this stream a like, and also click the notification bell so you get notifications every time we post a video or we're going to go live with a stream. It's also good if you want to see more of myself or more of Marius or videos that are coming out or podcasts. Sorry. Um, Subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud. What else? Wherever else you get your podcast, we're just about on every platform. So, Podbean, and Podbean kind of distributes to all these podcasting channels. So, yeah, we've got next podcast will come out next Monday. Looking forward to that one. In terms of streams on videos coming out, I've got a video on Billy Walters coming out later this week on Thursday. Video on Friday, I think, coming out about the difference between sharp bookmakers and soft bookmakers, which a lot of you probably know about already. And sorry, Joachim's lost battery on his phone, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate. What I was going to say. Yeah, but lots of videos coming out. Maybe do another live stream sometime soon. But if that's it in terms of questions, Joe, is that it?
Yeah. Yeah, 24 Sumo said, "Yeah, thanks for explaining it 20 times to me." Nah, that's it.
All right, folks. Catch you later. Give the video a like. Subscribe to our channel. Catch you later.